a little bit of information centered around this user agreement. The Google user agreement is different than the normal consumer agreement. And yes, it's still free. It's still a free product for schools. And if you're thinking of signing up, you want to do it before July of this year, because you're going to get more features for free than if you sign up after that point. The reason it's free is that Google was founded by Larry Page and Sergey Brin, who both designed the whole idea of Google out of a doctoral thesis. So they understand the power of education and are dedicated to it. Google also doesn't spend a lot of money on advertising, and dedicates a lot of those resources that other companies would use for advertising to promoting their products in education. The users agreement that I mentioned, here's some highlights for you. Things that we're always concerned about, and in the U.S. here we have some federal and state laws around student information and confidentiality. I'm not sure what your requirements are there, but I'm sure there's at least concerns that are similar. So these are the main pieces that are in that user agreement, that they're going to protect your data, you don't have to have ads, they're off by default, that Google's just processing your data, they're not reading it, they're not really responsible for what's in there, you are. It's your data on their system. And if you leave Google, they're going to delete everything that's in there, so you can be assured that if you decide to walk away, all of your stuff walks away with you. And then these are, when I do these presentations, the top 3 questions that come up centering around this. Who owns the data? Basically, you do. This is Google's response right here, that the data belongs to you. It doesn't belong to Google. They don't mine it. They don't sell it. They don't do anything with it. They just provide you a space to keep it. They don't give it away to other people. And they keep it for as long as you want it on their system. The other wonderful thing about Google is that they do all the disaster management for you. So all of your data is on the server you're working from, hosted with them, as well as in 2 other servers somewhere else around the world at all times. So you know, that is data redundancy that would be nearly impossible to replicate, at least fiscally, within our environment. So let's talk a little bit about getting there. So when you first set up these accounts for your students, the simplest way to get them set up is to take data out of a database or student information system and just create a CSV file, and you upload that and you create your accounts. And then any changes, adds, deletions are all made by just continually uploading CSV files. What we did was we worked with a third-party partner to help integrate that so that we wouldn't have to continue to do that on a daily or hourly basis. It now integrates with, we use Novell eDirectory and LDAP. As we create accounts, they're provisioned over to Google. Passwords are all synced and those kinds of things. So that helped give us some buy-in because of that password synchronization, because people didn't have to remember another password. But I don't think it's essential, but it has helped us a great deal. As I explained before, we got out login procedures to our students before school started. Then they got in, we helped them along. You know, we had some initial problems with passwords and those kinds of things, keeping track of those with those CSV uploads, but I have now automated some of that. A couple other things we didn't expect. We were using a different spam filter at the time. We're now using Google's Postini product, but that one didn't. The one that we had before didn't work quite correctly with Google at first, and we had to make some changes. And then when we turned on SSL in the Google settings, our web filter choked on some of that traffic. We're required in the U.S. to filter some of our internet traffic, and we had to make some changes in that we didn't expect. But what we started to see very quickly were some some surprising results, not just the email stuff that we expected, but we started to realize, disaster management was much easier. Our building could go away off the face of the planet and people could still email one another because everything is hosted outside of our walls. Our teachers immediately had been using this product on their own, so a lot of them already knew how to use the tool and started finding ways to integrate it with lessons, and some of those I'm going to show you in a little bit. We are using more bandwidth than we used to. Obviously, if all of this is hosted outside, we have to get to it. Although the products themselves are collaborative in nature, and we're seeing a lot more collaboration between all the members of our educational community. We're seeing more student collaboration with each other, teachers between students, administrators between teachers, teachers between teachers, administrators with students. We have examples of all of those things going on across our district using these tools. And then what we started to see was even more interest in other online technologies, other Web 2.0 tools, because we had given all of our students a online identity with that email address that students were now using. They weren't using it before, and teachers could use that as an identifier in an online tool. So things like Nings exploded around here, and wikis, and all of those kinds of tools. Teachers were much more likely to use them because they had a way to sign their kids up and keep track of kind of their behavior and their interaction on those sites. We've now reached a point where our teachers and students demand that these things are in place. If I, decided tomorrow that all of this was to go away, they would run me out of town. So this is now an expectation that these systems are here and that they work and that they're reliable. And Google helps make that happen. They are very reliable. Most of the time, if we have a problem that's internal here, actually we've never had a problem with any of the Google products. We've only had trouble with our own internal network getting out to them at times. I think that people are much more open to these types of solutions now that we're doing them. And there used to be some resistance about, will our stuff be safe online? Are these trusted? Are these good products? Are they reliable? And a lot of that has gone away. And right now, all of our students, our staff, our school board, all of them are on Gmail using Postini message security. Oh, I have that backwards. The message security is free, which is your spam filter and ways of filtering out social security numbers from going out and those kinds of things on our end. We can pick certain identifiable information that will be prevented from being emailed. That's the message security, and that comes for free if you sign up through July of this year. The archiving, that's an additional cost that we pay for. There are some state and federal laws where we have to hold on to email for about 10 years. So we pay an additional cost so that this is all integrated together. Both those products have been really solid for us. So let's get outside of kind of the tech world and get into the classroom and take a look at some of the changes that are going on. One of my great beliefs in all of these is that as a tech director, my responsibility is to provide good tools to my teachers and show them examples of how it can be used, and then allow them to take that information and run with it and create in their classroom and do great things. And they do that. Just as our teachers put good conditions there for students to learn and let students run with it and create with it and grow and learn and those kinds of things. And our environment is changing to be that way within our district. A lot of problem-based learning, a lot of cooperative learning, project-based learning, all of those things. I'm seeing more and more evidence of that every day within our schools. So let me show you an example of this. This is a teacher at Maine East High School. She was just featured in one of her lessons. The one I'm showing you here was just featured in Mashable, if you read that online. So what she did was a typical science lesson where they took different types of soils and different types of plants and tried to figure out what's the best type of soil for each type of plant.